And good afternoon, everybody. I have just a few minutes for a break and wanted to get this video out today. I tried to do this morning a few times and was running into some audio issues and had to delete all of the copies that I put up. And so I tried this again. I'm hopeful that it works this time. But what I wanted to present today is my DNS Query Log Analyzer program that I've been working on for the last year. And over the last 2 weeks, I've really started to get into the updates of the features that I've been wanting to put into the system and have come quite a long way with this in terms of what its capabilities are. But what it's providing to DNS administrators, myself included, is a way to either in real time and through an SSH tunnel tail a query log, a DNS query log from a bind DNS server, and process the results in real time with the ability to provide filters and compare those filters against the queries so that we can track and identify certain types of information like websites or IP addresses or things along those lines. So the concept of it here is then that we would have a DNS server configuration that would then have a username, password, type of configuration and credentials, and ultimately we'll have various keys, public keys that you can use to connect and secure that connection through the SSH. So in terms of the remote connection, this provides a great way of kind of connecting in real time and specifying a log file, which you'll provide through a simple text file or text field, and you can either paste or type in this information, and it populates the drop downs that we're going to go out and run a tail against when I start this process. So again, what this will do then is when we start the SSH, it goes out and performs a tail, establishes a stream, and it continues to run that stream in the background, taking each record as it processes that result and then imports it into the system and makes it available for browsing and filtering and other kind of interesting things that you'll see here shortly. So with that in mind, the filters are basically color-coded ways of identifying, different types of filters by text or IP addresses, and whether they're exact or wildcards. IP addresses are exact and wildcards are going to be used more for the text. And then you can change the different colors and how they're represented in the logs, which you'll also see in some of the backups and offline viewing. Now, on terms of the views themselves, is once you do have a filter in place and we started to capture, you can turn this filter on and off in order to kind of expose and or omit the records that you're filtering on or not filtering on in this display. And it's kind of real time as you're navigating through the system. And then what we're also going to see in the background is some of the kind of metrics about the log that we've processed so far, meaning the top 20 queries in terms of DNS domains that are being processed, the client IP addresses that we're determining from the logs, and that's client IP, and the top query types in the DNS record types. The active filters is a way to see the current filter color-coded with its text value. And I'm kind of looking to extend this a little bit to provide some level of label editing so that you can have in the logs or in these filters and pop-ups more of a user definable label that gives you more detail, about what we're looking for. And from an IP information tab, I haven't decided what to do with this yet. I'm looking at either maybe whois details on the domain if you're trying to do external lookups, or perhaps some IP control interfacing to APIs or even the CAA workflows to go out and query what's in the database assigned to this IP dynamically or statically, and here are the details. Maybe something like that that can be reported on. Now these top counters are real time. They're just going to run every 5 seconds and update the list, and there's not much we can do there, but it does give you that capability to quickly see this. As we're monitoring this and or offline even, we can then open up the query browser, which I'm thinking of kind of separating outside of the product to have a standalone kind of utility that has SSH and the browser, or just the browser within environments where you won't have SSH support, which that might be possible. So this does allow you to have offline viewing, and I'll have this kind of modified version to do that. But what we're basically looking at here, and by default, when it loads, is it loads up the default domains that we've processed so far and the query counts against those domains for viewing and filtering and sorting. You then have a snapshot at the time that I opened up this window of that underlying data running behind the scenes. And what we expect to see here then is that snapshot, which I can refresh, and I can load up the latest records if that's still running. And then from here, I can click on effectively any type of column data to perform a one-click sort or one-click filter. And there's a checkbox to enable this in the event that you're like me, you like to click around. It's not always what you want to see, but this does give you that ability to click, to highlight it, and then click to unselect that or to reset the filter. And I don't know if you captured this or when I was doing this, but it's updating a query history basically as you apply the filters with the number and the result count and then the actual search string. So the first thing I do is I make a backup of the full list of all of the records at that time. And then from there, you can actually click down through your various filters and it'll just play back all of the different values. So a very nice way to instantly restore any previously saved results. And then from there, you can further click through and filter further or delete the list, clear the entire list itself, and restore that information from there. So that very nice set. The real-time stats that you see that run in real time from a counter you provide in seconds will update the various domains and their counts, the query types, and the client IPs. But instead of filtering the top 20, it's going to give us a full list of effectively everything. And if you're into looking to monitor or look in the view and this refresh is kind of getting in the way, you can stop and start that and look at the data and view it and process it from there. Now, in terms of the local logging, and really the reason I wrote this is that you can have offline query processing. So I can then just as a DNS admin go out and FTP or SFTP the logs remotely, capture them into the system and load them in and process them in real time and run this in the background. And what I will see then also with this list is an updated counter refresh that gives you kind of the statistics as it's playing through all of these various logs that we're pulling in from the server. And I expect to and plan to kind of extend this a little bit too to allow for a remote querying of the logs, like auto-populating the log files and SSHing and SFTP the files directly versus having to copy that. And I'm going to let this run for a while, but this can get up to very large numbers. And like this example here runs up around 650, 660,000 records. And in those records, it can be quite extensive when you're trying to filter this. Now, I am running this also in the background with this other process. So I'm kind of contending with those resources here. And so I'm going to let this kind of sit for a second, take this off of there and see if we can let it run a little bit quicker and see how long that finishes there. But in the process of doing this too, I can filter with this information. And as you'll see here, we're going to get snapshots again of that data as we're processing and loading the data. And then I can reset the filter again. A couple key notes here about these filters as this is loading is we can do exact matches or the wildcard. So if you're looking to do a search in a full domain, you probably need to specify exact match to make that work. I also have some negated filters. So if you have a lot of noise out there and it's hard to look at the various logs, you can negate that. You can tell to remove it from the search and then look at the other details and further click through that to filter down to the kind of data set that you're looking for. And then of course, as you move through, I say of course, but as you move through these different tabs and the different data sources, this list and other lists and searches will basically be context sensitive to that tab in terms of what's loading and what the counts and what the values are that we're managing. And as you see here, this is still running, up to about 600,000. It can take a little while, so that's why I built in these additional filters to manage this. So I can stop this at any time and let that data reset itself and go from there. So anyway, I hope that the audio on this has come through, and I hope everything is clear on your end, and you'll be able to see this okay when I load it this time for the 5th time, having done this. But again, the key to this for the DNS admins is if you need something to monitor, to search, to filter, to look through this DNS data and pull out stats and metrics, this is a great way to do it. And the application, I'm going to hopefully be done with this soon and have a version that can be downloaded and try it out. And we'll kind of update the video to let you know when that happens. So anyway, hope this got out there okay. And if you have any questions, send me an email to a contact@ipdevnet.com, and I'll answer any questions you have. Great. Take care. Thanks for your time. Bye.